Hello. Welcome to your first look with us at your new National Library Standards from the American Association of School Librarians. This is the first in a series of online and face-to-face support trainings Library Media Services Department will provide for you over the coming months to prepare you to implement these standards. First, we want to reassure you that there's no urgency to shift to the new standards right now. In fact, while these are your new national standards as of November 2017, the Kentucky Department of Education has not yet adopted them. We know that will happen sometime in 2018, but we're unsure exactly when. And even if it was tomorrow, you would still continue to use your current standards for the remainder of this school year. AASL expects the national rollout to happen over a period of 3 years, so you will have plenty of time and support to become familiar with them. Some of you have been following the unveiling of the new standards very closely and are aware that we actually have 3 new sets of standards. For others, this will be your first opportunity to dip your toe into these waters. This session will remain available to you throughout the remainder of the year, and you may revisit it as often as you like. You might want to hit pause right now and pull out the Learner's Framework pamphlet and the accompanying one-page pullout provided to you by Library Media Services. These should have arrived in the Pony before winter break. If you did not receive yours, please call 7770 and we will get a set out to you. AASL has a tradition of revising the National School Library Standards every 7 to 10 years. In this instance, revisions were made based upon requests to reduce redundancy, provide keyword shortcuts, and present the content less as guidelines and more as standards for the benefit of administrators and educators. Additionally, this version of the national standards is notable for being fully integrated across all 3 sets of standards, which are designed to be mutually reinforcing. Now, our goals for this session are fairly simple. First, we want to provide you with a good understanding of how the 3 sets of standards make up the AASL Standards Integrated Framework. Secondly, we're going to identify the common beliefs, foundations, and domains that are shared by all 3 sets of standards. And finally, we're going to begin our first focused look at the Learner's Framework. Now, underpinning our new standards are common beliefs that have been identified as central to the school library profession. You will find these on the first page of your pamphlet, where you will also find summary descriptions for each common belief. These summaries provide rich language for professional advocacy, and whether you are viewing this individually or with your PLC, this is a good time to hit pause and review these and their descriptions for discussion or reflection. Now let's identify and consider each of the standard sets individually. This will set the stage as we prepare to view the integrated framework. And this idea of integrating the standards framework is both revolutionary and at the same time completely obvious for the 2018 standards revision. These 3 realms are not new to us. In our current Standards for the 21st Century Learner, we have a set of learner standards, a set of benchmarks and descriptors to guide our work as librarians, and a rubric with which to align and evaluate our library programs. So let's look first at the standards for learners. We all know and have recognized in our current standards that learners must develop skills and dispositions, and learners are tasked with responsibilities and self-assessment strategies within the standards. The competencies within our new learner standards continue to challenge students to be involved in their own growth and skills development. We have the set of standards for school libraries. While students are capable of constructing their own learning, we maximize that learning by providing the best collection, space, schedule, procedures, behavior management, all components of the Danielson environment domain. When we create a flexible, relationship-driven, inquiry-based environment, we build capacity in our spaces, and simultaneously we build capacity in our students and ourselves. When we are thoughtful and purposeful with our spaces, we encourage communication and encounters with resources and other learners happen regularly and seamlessly throughout our days, turning our spaces into dynamic learning hubs. And we have the set of standards for school librarians. The librarians who oversee both students and space, and who are in turn impacted and challenged and inspired by both. Good librarians seek ongoing professional trainings to keep up with student interests and capabilities, and they implement that new learning in an iterative process that simultaneously enriches the learners, the environment, and the librarian. With every inquiry, collaboration, or resource addition, each component of this system is effective. Positively, we hope, but if not, the need for correction will inevitably become obvious, and the competencies within each set of standards provide a path toward effectiveness for us. Let's look again at the piece you have in your hands. You will find great visuals inside about the interrelatedness of the standards. This wheel chart, which is on the inside cover of your pamphlet, will be a handy and effective reminder of the relationships of the components within the new standards integrated framework. And if you look at the back cover of your pamphlet, you will find that not everything is new under the sun. We still retain the familiar think, create, share, and grow domains, but these domains are now shared across all three sets of standards. The Integrated Standards Framework is anchored by 6 shared foundations: inquire and include, collaborate and curate, explore and engage, which highlight core educational concepts. They each contain commitment statements and details that explain the underlying competencies and best practices for each foundation. And the easy-to-remember acronym double ICE will help you to recall them. We will be looking at each of these much more closely in our next session. When you look at this diagram in your pamphlet, you can see clearly that the shared foundations and domains appear across all 3 standard sets. You and your students will move deeper into learning in any particular shared foundation or domain when you try to view them holistically across all 3 frameworks. Now, the AASL standards are not a curriculum. They are a tool to provide you with guidance and structure as you personalize your instruction, programming, resources, and space to meet the needs of your students. And the standards are designed to be used in 2 ways. Learners and librarians can pick up the standards at any point that's relevant to their learning task or professional activity to try to develop specific competencies. Or, learners and school librarians may begin with the think domain, and as competencies are achieved, move through create, share, and grow. They are not designed to be linear, and it's likely that you will find you and your students use them in both ways. For instance, you may begin to plan instruction to move through the standards progressively, but find things pop up that require you to respond and jump to another domain or competency. And once that has been resolved, you can return to your progressive instruction, or you may be able to allow the students to completely personalize their own path through the competencies once you have shared them with them. And by the way, when referring to a specific competency or alignment, here's the protocol for using numeric and letter indicators. If, for example, you were looking for the following learner competency, learners engage with new knowledge by following a process that includes generating products that illustrate learning, you could construct this standard as 1, because it references the first shared foundation, B, which denotes the second domain, create, and 3, to signify the third competency in that domain. So we have 1, B, 3 for that standard. And you'll follow that pattern of foundation, domain, and then competency as you fill out your lesson plans in the future. Now, most of what we have shared with you in this session is available in the pamphlet you received. While redundancy may not be popular when writing standards, it does help us as we try to internalize them. So here's a short video with one last look at everything we've covered.
The American Association of School Librarians' new National School Library Standards provide integrated standards frameworks for learners, school librarians, and school libraries, and ensure that school librarians are working within a framework for dynamic learning leadership. As part of the standards revision process, AASL engaged with more than 1,300 school librarians and stakeholders. Our goal was to identify school librarians' current needs while preparing standards for the future. You asked us to streamline your standards with an easy-to-use parallel structure, remove repetitiveness and dated terminology and replace it with language that would resonate with stakeholders, including school librarians, and use memorable keyword shortcuts to identify with the standards. We expressed your vision through the components of your new National School Library Standards and the AASL Standards Integrated Frameworks. The frameworks are composed of 6 shared foundations: inquire, include, collaborate, curate, explore, and engage, with one framework for each foundation. These foundations were derived from our research and school librarian input. They describe the core values that learners, librarians, and libraries should reflect and promote. Key commitments act as expanded definitions of the shared foundations, spelling out their essential elements. The domains, think, create, share, and grow, mirror the inquiry process from discovery to reflecting on the process. The competencies, organized under the domains, may be used as a progression of knowledge, skills, and dispositions, though are not intended to be linear. Learners and school librarians can enter the standards at the point most appropriate to their learning task or professional activity. The competencies are expressed as alignments for school libraries. This new standards framework structure is easy to use and compare across standards for learners, school librarians, and school libraries. Like other sets of national educational standards, the AASL standards are not a curriculum. Rather, they provide guidance and structure as you develop a curriculum tailored to your priorities and needs. This approach enables school librarians to personalize their professional practice and growth, continuously tailoring their school library to community needs, their own strengths, and learners' benefit. Through the AASL Standards web portal, school librarians can find professional development, tools, and resources to help inform your stakeholder communities. Visit standards.aasl.org to access resources to support your implementation of the standards locally and to connect virtually with a vibrant community of professionals across the country. The American Association of School Librarians empowers leaders to transform teaching and learning. No matter your position within the education community, AASL's new integrated standards are designed to do just that.
As we progress through our study of the new standards in the coming months, we will be curating resources for your use, and this web mix will be available upon our next session as we begin to look more closely at the foundations, domains, and competencies for the standards framework for learners. In the meantime, you may wish to take a deeper look at the AASL Standards portal. This portal gives you the differentiated option of entering as a school librarian, administrator, parent or guardian, or as an educator, and you will find many resources within. We will alert you when a new session has been added to this Blackboard course. If you're watching this on your own, you need do nothing more, and thanks for participating. If you are watching with your PLC, chances are you are sharing a screen and only one of you is logged into Blackboard right now. And if so, please add a note to your PLC sign-in sheet indicating that all members in attendance viewed this so we can adjust the Blackboard record to reflect the correct participants. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.